Y'all, and welcome back to my channel. And welcome to a video of something that I'd actually had the idea of for quite a while. I'm pretty sure there are other content creators that have done this already. I mean, there are like a billion beauty content creators, so the majority of my video ideas, I'm sure, are not just unique to me. But I thought it would be interesting to talk about products that I've changed my mind about. Either in the sense of, you know, back in the day I thought these things were the real shiznit. Now I'm like, you know, now that I have experience, now that I have a more refined taste in makeup, they're actually not that good. Or things that I started out and were like, oh, you bad, you so bad. And now I think those things are the absolute shiznit. Obviously with this sort of video, this is very preference, very opinionated, very my own experience. So if I don't like something anymore that you absolutely love, that is absolutely fantastic, like I keep saying, you do you, boo. The world is filled with a lot of people and the world is filled with a lot of makeup and it isn't gonna work for everyone. I feel like this should go without saying, but inevitably there's gonna be someone down in the comments being all like, this is my absolute favorite thing and you're stupid, you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. It's opinion and experience based, so let's just keep it pushing. The first product I want to talk about is actually one that kind of did a little bit of a, I hate it, now I love it, then I hate it, now I love it again. And that is actually the Too Faced Born This Way foundation. Like when I initially tried it, I do feel like part of the problem with that is when I did initially try this foundation, my skincare game was pretty much non-existent. And now y'all know that skincare is my absolute favorite thing in the world. And as such, when I went to go back and retry this foundation, I was like, what? Oh my, yes. It was a beautiful, you know, I would find, say, light to medium coverage. It had a matte finish without being all like nasty and crepey. And I was vibing with it real hard. When I was in Tennessee and I was all kinds of tanny tan because I was laying out in the sun, because that sun efficiency disorder, it can kick you in the butt. And the shade that I had was perfect for that. And I used the ever-living shiz out of it. And then I don't know, I put it aside or something like that, and I started loving on another foundation, and then I went to try it again, and I was like, what? My skincare game is even better, so why does this not look good on my face? And honestly, I think that the one I had just went off. I think it died, it expired, the formula was no longer viable. And so at that point I was like, yeah, I kind of feel it. I pitched that and then I got another one, and it is what I am wearing on my face today, and it still is now one of my favorite drier skin friendly matte foundations. Like, it's matte without being flat or really dry accentuating. I wouldn't say it's anything like the Tarte Hydrating Shape Tape foundation. It's nothing like the Juvia's I Am Magic foundation. If you are dry skinned and you want a foundation that's a little bit less dewy, a little bit less oily looking conducive, definitely try you out the Born This Way foundation, because it is still, even after the flip-flop, one of my holy grails. Okay, that was a negative to a positive. Let's talk about a positive to a negative that was actually pretty ding-dang significant. Kat Von D, or otherwise known as Kendo Vegan Beauty. I mean, I can't even take the brand seriously anymore, because like Kendo, I'm sorry, this aesthetic is very Kat Von D, but this aesthetic isn't very Kendo Vegan Beauty. But this is the Lolita Palette. Beautiful red, rosy, delicious colors. Very much up my alley. And I had reviewed it, and at the time I was like, yeah, sure, alright. It's not the end-all be-all palette. I wish it was bigger. I wish it had more shades. I wish it had more whatever. But you know, I wasn't against it. And then recently I went to use it, and I don't know if the formula just decided to bite the dust. I mean, the timetable on this is 12 months, and I've probably, I mean, it's reaching that, but I have eyeshadows that I've had for way longer than the estimated 12 months that did not turn like these. This became one of the most hideous, powdery, muddy, patchy, unblendable, like, what did my makeup look like when I used it? Why did I recommend this? What happened? But I was just totally blown away by how friggin' powdery it was. The pigmentation was kind of there, but it suffered from kind of like piffing into the atmosphere, and then you'd go to like blend it out, and like you just kept packing the shade on. You're like, all right, come on, let's get that deep, dark, decadent deliciousness in that crease. And then you go to blend it to make it smooth, and you're like, well, where did the depth go? And then you'd pack on it again, and you just repeat until I became so freaking frustrated that day for filming. I was like, I ain't even gonna film. I'm mad. I like pitched this somewhere, and I was like, I'm done. I ain't doing this. I ain't doing this. So for a palette that I actually thought relatively highly of, it was so surprising to just go 180 from, yeah, this was good, whatever, to an absolutely horrible. If it had been like that, when I reviewed it, I'd been like, y'all, don't do it. And now I'm going to say that now. Don't do it. That's something that has a fairly big cult following. I mean, when it comes to any kind of makeup, you got the people that love it and the people that whatever. And in the beginning, in the startup, I was like, oh yeah, I love it. These are so great. They're fantastic. And now, after using them more and after time, I don't know, this is always my thing. I don't know if it's a formula change in the sense of, have I had it too long? Has it expired? Is it having issues? Because you never want to think a product that you have is bad. So you kind of fall back on that. Well, maybe it changed, maybe it went off, but these Ciate London Glitter Flip lipsticks. Now, when these came out, people did all kinds of videos of like, look, it's a lipstick, and then I do this, and sparkles show up. I mean, I remember Jeffree Star reviewed these. He was all blown away. You know, there are a bunch of people, bunch of high whateverness who reviewed these were like, yes, they're fantastic. And now, the matte formula, they have a matte formula and then a metallic one. The matte formula is okay. Y'all know, if you've heard me talk about these, you all know I despise these applicators because they're so blinking fluffy. It is so hard to get a nice, precise line on your lips. So there is that going for it. And you know, I mean, it's okay. It's an okay formula, you know. But with this one, with the metallic formula especially, you put it on and it looks good for a couple of minutes, but by the end of like filming, it has cracked. It has got all kinds of nasty all up in the area here. I mean, it is a very unforgiving, unflattering, super drying formula. Yeah, I mean, when you press your lips down, you get some glitter, and I guess that's the only redeeming whatever. I mean, the matte formula is okay. It's something that I can work with, and I'm like, this kind, the metallic one, I don't use on its own. If I've got another liquid lipstick or just a normal lipstick, you know, I may pat a little bit on it to give it a little extra zhuzh, but I do not put these on my lips alone because they're just not cute. They just don't, I don't know what the problem is, but between the fluffy applicator, like in the beginning, I was like, yes, they're perfect, they're amazing, they're wonderful. And now I'm just kind of like, not so much, you know, I'm less of a following the hype and being a yes man to all this hyped up makeup, and now being more discerning about what I like and more realistic, because a lipstick that looks good for the first half hour but then turns into a crepe, I mean, crumbs, flakes, all up in here. That is a no-go for me. Then something else, like I said, I feel like I'm gonna be repeating myself. It's always kind of like, well, did the formula change? Have I had it too long? Or is it really something that wasn't that great, but I didn't know enough to be able to discern whether it was good or not? But the Urban Decay Afterglow 8-Hour Powder Highlighters. Sin is a pretty cult classic. This was actually, I actually hauled this. I just had a moment of clarity. This was, I hauled this in one of my first beauty hauls on this channel, which was like 5 years ago. So it's probably more than likely that the formula has gone off this because I've had it for 5 years. But you know, I used it a couple of times and like, it's okay. You know, it looks pretty in the whatever, and it's kind of, you know, it looked nice. but that is not what I get on my face. And it's probably because the powder has gone the way of the dodo, because I've had it too long, but it doesn't really stay on the face. Like, I'll put it on the brush and then I'll like, whoosh, and I'll be like, where is it? Where is the cha-cha-cha-cha? And then there's Fireball here, which was, I mean, I went in hard on this one before I even knew what like highlighter was. I'm like, I'm just gonna take it and put it all in the cheeky area. And it's more of like a duochrome blush topper situation, you know, probably a little too much color for my skin tone to be just a straight up highlighter. And then Aura, which is, you know, the pinky whateverness, you know, this one's, you know, y'all, I think I just need to come to terms with it and just declutter these. I mean, it could be due to the fact, like I said, I've had these for 5 years, but every time I've used them, they're just kind of meh. They're like super powdery in the sense of like they just don't stay, you know. You get a lot of excess powder, but you don't get a lot of kapow for the amount of powder you're kicking up in that pan. So it may just be time for me to make a self-realization that I've had these for too long and that I need to get rid of them. But they were never something that was like, yeah, wow, this is a highlighter that stands above all the 50 million other ones in my collection. Then we're talking about a highlighter that I used to love, that I used to rave about. They used to be like, this is one of the best highlighter formulas on the market. I mean, it's good. It's kind of nice. I mean, the Jeffree Star Skin Frosts. Now, when these released, everybody lost their ever-loving whatevers because you got a crap ton of product. It's the size of your head. It was Jeffree Star. He had a blue one and a green one and a what, you know. He was definitely creating highlighters for the more alternative, weirdly makeup-inclined people. And I remember I got this one ice cold. I remember you could not get a hold of this anytime, anywhere, any place. And this one I have kept. And this one I'm probably going to try to keep. I mean, look at that. It's all like pretty shiny, shiny. It is ka-cha-cha-cha-cha. But part of the problem I have with this formula is the fact that, number one, it is inconsistent between colors. This, I feel, is one of the best ones. It's very smooth. It blends out well. It looks good. You know, it's not a really, really thick emollient formula like a bunch of his other ones are. And this one is ice cold for anyone wondering. And then this one here is Peach Goddess, which is more, I would say, harder pressed and a little bit thicker and a bit more, I mean, you're not just, the inconsistency in the exact formulation between the shades is just super frustrating. Like, this one's really nice. This one's ka-cha-cha-cha-cha. These are very conducive. They're very prone to hard pan. So you've already got the thicker, hard pressed formula that's more difficult to deal with, and then it gets hard pan and you're digging your brush in there and it's more trouble than it's worth. I mean, people used to absolutely go crazy for these, but now that he's released other highlighter formulas that are better and that there are other highlighter formulas on the market, either at his price point or lower or higher, these have just kind of fallen to the wayside. I haven't decluttered them because I paid money for these. And there's a part of me deep down inside that's like, you need to get use out of them. You've got some beautiful colors. I do like the ice cold one. I like the Manny and him Eclipse one. I've got Lavender Snow, but it's just so annoying that there's just that inconsistent whateverness between the colors. Next up is something that was a negative that turned into a positive, something that I feel like the majority of YouTube and beauty consumers really don't like, but the Too Faced Melted Latex Liquid High Shine lipstick. These are supposed to be like a super glossy, vinyl-y, you know, sort of liquid lipstick, and I will admit, these went on sale and I bought a bunch of them and I tried to use them on their own and I mean, they did all kinds of feathering and bleeding and seeping and creasing. You know, they're very sticky. They're very thick. They're not very flattering. And for the longest time, I held on to them and they just sat there being all thick and nasty and whatever. And then I was like, you know what? I gotta get some use out of these. So I would do a liquid lipstick and then I would top this over it, you know, kind of in the middle area to give my lips a little bit more fullness. And I absolutely love these for that. I mean, this is the Unicorn Tears one. This is such a beautiful, so pretty. And so if I have like a dark lipstick or something like that, I'll pop that over it and it'll give it a nice like 3D effect. And then the other ones, you know, if I'm wearing a shade, this, whatever, but I don't want to be matte, I will pop this all up in the whatever. And it's kind of like, it's a, treat it like a really pigmented gloss that you're gonna want to put lightly over something that's already there. I do not recommend wearing these on their own because they will fade, they will bleed, they will do the thing. But if they've got that liquid lipstick underneath them to kind of cling to and hold on to keep them from shifting around, I do absolutely love these for that. Those are also a product that I've talked about where I wouldn't pay full price for it. You know, if they're on sale, $10, $9, $11, yeah, sure. But for something being marketed as a liquid lipstick that fades and bleeds and moves and does all the whatever, do not pay $21 for that shiz, please. The only one I ever paid full price for was the Unicorn Tears, and that's probably because it had the shiny, shiny packaging. Then something that makes me kind of sad that my opinion has changed on it, but I just have to be completely honest and transparent. 2019, y'all know your girl fell into the whatever. The Bare Minerals had that Complexion Rescue whatever foundation. I mean, that was the only ad you ever had on a YouTube video, and I was just like, fine, you know what? You brainwashed me, I'll buy it. And I absolutely loved it. I thought it looked amazing on my skin. It was smooth, it was airbrushed, it was like a very light coverage and just evening things out. And that was like, my skincare routine was pretty spot on at that point. And I like to think my skincare routine now is even like just a little bit better. But this foundation, for some reason, I've tried a couple different primers. I've tried the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Primer. I've tried the Too Faced Hangover one. Yeah, I've tried all my Holy Grail primers that I know I used when I was first using this. And none of them makes it give me that beautiful, smooth, flawless airbrushed look that it did when I first bought it. And so I pulled it out and I was expecting to look all kinds of snatched, and then all I had was like dry, crepey. It clung to any sort of texture I had. It wasn't doing any favors for this dry section here. And I really love this. And I've got, you know, I got a bunch left. I was gonna, you know, try to use that shiz up, but it just doesn't look good. So it's a sad thing that I've changed my mind on, but every time I've used it, it just looks cakey and crepey and not nice at all. And so I'm just really sad inside about this one. Another foundation that my opinion has changed on it from positive to negative, which I cannot use the excuse of like, well, I've had it so long that the foundation is like gone, whatever. Now, I haven't even had this foundation that let's see here. This is last for 12 months. Ain't no way I've had this for 12 months. But this is the Anastasia Luminous foundation, and now I tried this. I filmed a review that I never published and I liked it. I was like, yeah, it's nice, you know, it's a, you know, medium coverage with a little bit of luminosity to not make you look all kinds of flat and dead. And then I started to try using it again, and for the life of me, I have used different primers. I have used a brush. I have used my fingers to try and apply this, but no matter what I do or what I use, this foundation will not adhere to this section here. I don't know if it's because I've got the texture going on there up in those sections or what, but every time, you know, I'll go on in and I'll like, you know, do the primer and all the whatever, and and it just breaks up, and it won't, no matter how much I pat, no matter how much I brush, no matter how much I dab, it just goes away. It will not adhere. You know, I gotta put glue or spackle down to hold this foundation. Like I said, I've tried almost every primer I own. And no matter what I do, all up in this area, it's like, nope, no. It is so afraid of commitment to this area of my face. It just does nothing. And I'm really upset because like I had it and I used it and it was all whatever, and then by the time I figured out that it didn't want to play nice with my face, I couldn't return it, so I'd probably give it to somebody. But it's just like so weird. And a couple of y'all have said that you've had that experience too. Or I'll get it to adhere and it'll be all whatever, and then I'll take just the hint, just the titchiest bit of powder, and with the lightest little just a little kiss of the brush, boom, foundation gone. So I'm not sure what's going on with this, but I liked it and I had high hopes for it, and then it was just like, you know, I'm out. Now we're gonna get into like a little bit of a throwback here. Urban Decay Moon Dust Palette. Do they even make this anymore? I don't know. And this is definitely one of those products that I've had long enough for it to go off. But y'all, I have Kat Von D, Mi Vida Loca. I've got Urban Decay Vice palettes that I've had for years before I started my channel that haven't gone off. I probably shouldn't be putting them on my face, but they haven't gone off. And Asya got the nice little whatever. I mean, this was something that Kimberly Clark anti-hauled and I should have listened to her. But you know, it's just like, you know, a faint little bit of spritz of color. And I understand that these do lend themselves to being more like little effervescent top coaters than they are like full wabam pigmentation. But you know, through the years and through like dealing with, you know, like other shimmers and different formulas, you know, it's just like kind of okay. I mean, I understand a lot of people love the Moon Dust formula, and it is pretty and it is whatever, but the longer I had this, the more I realized it just wasn't my jam. I was kind of just buying into the whole, well, everything is good and everything is amazing and I'm going to use everything. I've got a much more discerning taste, and in that taste and in that revelation, I don't need no faint effervescent fairy fart eyeshadows, moon dust. I mean, they are very dusty. They are very, I feel like the formula that they put in that one was not the same formula as their singles, because I had some of their single moon dust shadows and those ain't cheap, which was part of the appeal of this palette, because you could get 8 shades for like a little bit more than the price of like one. But the formula that was in the singles was far superior, had a lot more back pigment, a lot more sheen, was nicer to use, and this just became, you know, I'm just like, no, I'm not gonna take the time to just use, you know, a little faint, a little washing, a little whatever. I'm just gonna go for a shimmer. And I have shimmers in my collection that have got that extra little bit of cha-cha, whateverness. So just in my personal discovery, my personal journey, I have fallen out of love with the Urban Decay Moon Dust palette, though I'm not sure if I was ever actually in love with it or I was just brainwashed by the makeup hysteria to think I loved it. All right, all y'all. That is what I have time for today without making this exceptionally longer than it should be. But I do have enough products that I could honestly do a part 2. So if any of y'all are interested about that, definitely let me know down below. As well as let me know what you feel about the products I talked about. Something that you used to love that you don't love, or something you used to hate that you now love. Makeup is very relative to our current experience. It has a lot to do with how we apply it, how our skin carries, age, humidity, non-humidity. You know, there is a lot of variables that go into making how this works. Believe it or not, makeup is actually not an exact science, which kind of sucks. But thank you guys so much for watching. I love you, and as always, keep it real. Mwah!